All right, so for number 4 and 5 on page 97 of the homework, we are asked to fill in a ratio table and then use our ratio table to solve some division problems. And you'll see here that we have this interesting little way of doing division. So I'm going to model how to do that division in these two problems. So I'm actually going to go through and solve the ratio table just so we have an example and also something to reference when we solve these division problems. So I know that one group of 23 is 23. Two groups of 23 is going to be twice as much, which is going to be 46. 10 groups, I can do the adding a zero rule that I hate. It's going to be 230. 5 groups is going to be half as much. So I know half of 230, well, half of 200 is 100, and then half of 30 is 15. So it's going to be 115. Let's see, 20 groups of 20 groups of 23 is going to be double as much as 10 was. So I'm going to do double 230 to 460. That's also 10 times 2 groups here. And then to do 15 groups, I can do 20 groups minus 5 groups, because 20 minus 5 is 15. So I can do 460 minus 115, which I just have to quickly use the standard algorithm for over here to get 345. Great. Now that I fill that in, I am ready to divide. So the way that we set up these division problems is the same as in the traditional way of doing it. So I do 569 divided by 23. The only difference is instead of using place value and all of that, we just think, okay, well, what's a good number of groups to start with? And looking up at my ratio table, I see that 20 groups would get me to 460. It seems like a good place to start. So once I subtract 460 away, I end up with 109. Okay, I can work with that. So, oh, whoops. Oh my gosh, I'm doing the wrong numbers here. That's not good. I said 469. It's 429. I was wondering how that was going to work out evenly. All right, let's go back. So 529. I still can subtract 460, which is great. I would just end up with, let's see, 69. So now I'm thinking, okay, how many more groups of 23 can I take away if my goal is to get to 0? Maybe 3 groups. And I can find that 3 groups of 23 is also 69. And that takes me all the way down to 0. So I know I'm done my subtracting. I just need to find my answer, which I can do by adding up my number of groups that I took away in chunks from my whole. And so 20 groups plus 3 groups would be 23 groups. I'm going to do that example again over here where we do 414 divided by 23. So if I'm looking up in my ratio table to figure out a good number of groups to start with, I'll say 15 groups is a good number of groups to start with. It's 345, and I can subtract away 345 with a little borrowing, and I get 69 again. So I know that 3 more groups would get me 69, which would help me subtract down to 0. I add to get my answer, 15 plus 3, and I get 18.